you literary legends and luminaries. I'm Julie and welcome to Write Smart. Today's episode is about the memoir. To Name the Bigger Lie, a memoir in 2 stories by Sarah Viren. It sounded captivating and intriguing, a mix of the personal with research and investigative journalism. It also delves into the idea of fake truths and fake news and why we believe what we do and don't. It all sounded so fascinating, and it was in the beginning. So story 1 deals with Viren's high school philosophy teacher, an intriguing teacher who forces the students to think and question the world around them. She's about my age, so this was a bit more flexible time period for teachers when we weren't debating what version of history to teach. Yes, it was less diverse at the time, but never once did any teacher ever tell us that slaves like being slaves, if you know what I mean. Viren's writing is gorgeous and flows with beautiful descriptions. So let me read you an example. And this one is right at the end of the first chapter. And so this is what Dr. Wiles, the philosophy teacher, says. "The cave is life for most of us," Dr. Wiles said, looking around the room after he finished the story. "But not everyone." I blinked back at him, wanting his description of the open sky and sunlight to feel familiar, to again recognize myself in the story of that man muted by wonder. But I couldn't find myself in the ending. What felt familiar was the metaphor of standing by the firelight, staring at others you think have it all wrong, not finding yourself in the sun, knowing the world for what it is. I stared at Dr. Wiles anyway, hoping he'd look at me like he sometimes did, like he knew I got it, or he believed that one day I would. But Dr. Wiles looked at the clock instead. "Are you in the cave?" he asked us. "Or are you in the sunlight?" So her writing is very beautiful and captivating, and it just grabs you right at the start of the story. And I would describe Viren as a much more engaged student than her peers. She seems more intuitive and attentive than the rest of her class and is really impacted by her philosophy teacher. She presents some of her peers as following everything the teacher says. They hang on the teacher's every word and thinks whatever he teaches them is gospel. Then other students appear to give him little thought. Some students, like her, question what is happening in their classroom. Viren becomes distraught when he presents the idea that the Holocaust didn't happen. Although he presents it as a two-sided argument, the next day he will present the facts of the Holocaust, but he never does. This is where I thought Viren could dive a little bit deeper in her research. While she presents that these are smart kids who are being led astray and drinking the Kool-Aid, she doesn't really do as much with it as I thought she should. I also saw some of the irony. The extreme right is so terrified of teachers indoctrinating students with woke ideas, and Viren is showing how teachers influence thinking, but in this case, it's the far right ideas and conspiracy theories, another missed opportunity for Viren to dive deeper into this question of teaching and learning. Viren spends too much space writing about a lot of other stuff that doesn't always connect to her theme. It's like she really wanted to write about her adolescence, whether or not it connected with what was happening in her philosophy class. That story sort of ends without much of an ending, in my opinion, and then she switches to the second story. This is a much more recent experience with her wife, Marta, being accused of sexual misconduct. I don't know if I should spoil the ending for you or not, so don't listen to this next part. But it turns out that it is all lies made up by a peer that applied to the same job and was mad that he didn't get it. Viren writes about the narrative unfolding and how people choose to believe it despite the facts that they later uncovered. It's a sordid, twisted tale that, once again, I don't know if she does it total justice. It seems like there are gaps in the story, that more could have been researched about people's online habits and mental health and the legality of such charges. Then Viren ends with her philosophy teacher in a weird sort of way with letters and a hypothetical conversation with a tortoise. Yes, a tortoise. I don't mind what these last pages deal with, it's just a bit scattered. I don't quite understand the narrative choices Viren made. Viren is a beautiful, engaging writer, but the book as a whole didn't live up to my high expectations. Not only did it sound like a unique investigative memoir of 2 stories, but it combined a social issue of this truth-telling with her own personal experiences from the past and the present. But it just didn't come together. What was I reading about her adolescence, the power of what we teach, the mindless following of others' wild conspiracy theories and lies, no matter how educated people are, how we deal with charges of sexual misconduct. There's so much in this book, too much, that I stopped questioning much of anything because none of the issues were developed deep enough to offer philosophical debate. So how does all this relate to my writing or writing in general? Well, the idea of the book was unique and ambitious, and for that I praised Viren, not to mention her beautiful writing. Her sentence structure had this gorgeous flow and word choice. I loved it. Even though the book didn't come together for me, these are the types of memoirs that I hope continue to get written, where we're combining more than just our personal stories, that there's a bit more societal context to them than just what we experienced, a broader universal element that teaches us about the world in which we live. And that's what made her book so profound to me. Thanks for watching. As always, my goal at Write Smart is to write books so that people can read books and get a little bit smarter, one book at a time.